Welcome to the Get Published podcast, sponsored by Brody Consulting Group. To get more information about our publishing and coaching services, go to getpublishedpodcast.com. Hello, I am Paul Brody, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Get Published podcast, where we help authors get published with a proven system that works. Today, we're being joined by Iris Chacon, author of Finding Miranda. Iris, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks for inviting me.
Are you ready to get started?
I'm ready.
All right, question number one. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to a first-time author who is currently writing their book?
Okay, I would give them the same advice that I have given my students over the years in writing classes, and that is you have to find that little guy in the back of your head who keeps trying to edit while you're writing. You have to strangle him, or at least bind and gag him, so that he's not looking over your shoulder while you're trying to be creative, saying, "Oh no, don't say walked, say strode. No, don't say strode, say strutted. No, wait, don't say that." You cannot write a first draft from beginning to end with that guy talking in your ear. So you have this internal editor that wants to fix everything as you go. Tell him to just take a break, because if you try to fix it as you're writing the first draft, you will never finish that first draft. And believe me, the first draft is not the Taj Mahal. It's just the scaffolding. You build the building after that. That's the real writing. So don't try to make it perfect first time through.
Yeah, one of the recurring themes we have in this show, we always talk about that done is better than perfect. Just get it done.
Yes. A draft you can actually see is so much better than the one that you thought you had in your head. Really.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. Well, what do you feel is the hardest part about getting published?
Well, I hope this doesn't reflect immaturity on my part, but the hardest part for me is the waiting. I know a lot of guys now who are self-publishing because we just couldn't stand the waiting. You get this manuscript finished, you have spent time and time again doing 42 drafts. You finally have something you're ready to show to people. You send it out, and you wait, and you wait, and you wait, and the weeks go by, and nobody answers you. And all the publishing books tell you don't send to more than one editor or one agent at a time. And so you're waiting for each one to respond, and they don't. So then you give up on that rule, and you send out to 20 of them at a time, and one or two of them respond. And then if you get the agent, then you go through the same process again with the publishers, and you're waiting, and you're waiting. It can drive you mad. And there are a lot of techniques to use while you're waiting, and one of the best, I guess, is just to work on something else. Forget that finished product that somebody's reading somewhere, hopefully, and just start on the next thing, because the waiting will drive you mad.
And then did you go through traditional publishers with your book?
I have been to traditional publishers in the past, and I just found it too frustrating. Even with self-publishing, you end up uploading your manuscript to a computer at some point, and then you have to wait for the computer to get back to you. But that's a matter of hours. It's not a matter of weeks or months. So I can tolerate that better than I can not hearing from people. And in the publishing world, I'm convinced everybody who's reading manuscripts has more than they can read, and they don't have time to respond to everyone. And I can't blame them for that.
Yeah, I agree. One thing I like about publishing is the fact that you have the, when you do it yourself, is that you have the freedom to be able to get it out there when you want. If you have a great run, you have a book done and it's edited and all good to go within a few weeks, you don't have to wait months to go through publishers. You can just get it finished, get it formatted, and get it out there. And that's one of the nice things about it.
Yeah. It's great if you have just finished a book that's perfect for Father's Day. You can get it published in the next month and get it out there for Father's Day, or for Christmas, or for Valentine's Day, whatever. if you have a target date, you know you can get your book out by that date. It won't be tied up in some printing house somewhere.
Well, let's talk about marketing. So please share a marketing strategy that you have used in your book launch that worked well.
I have had some success with my mailing list, for one thing. Let me say, reader magnets are the thing. If you're not giving something away for your readers to get them hooked on your style, do something now. Write something today. It's great to have the reader magnets that draw people onto your list. Then when you have something happening, some new book coming out, you can start with your list months ahead of time. I have a group of like 5 mystery writers that I know I can email them, and they're willing to read that manuscript and get me those first 5 reviews before anything. And then I'm set. Then it's beginning to roll. Then I can start promoting on social media. Then I can start doing it. Now, one of the things that I do that may seem strange to some people, but it has been very well received. I gave up business cards long ago as just a waste of resources. And trying to think of something that the lowly author can afford on the author budget that people would keep, that would be useful to someone. And so I have the most beautiful fountain pens. They're ballpoint pens, not pure fountain pens, ballpoint pens, but have it very modestly has my author name and website on it. And says like Queen Funny Mysteries or something like this. And the pens are so beautiful that people are excited when I give them one. And everywhere I go, I give them to people that I meet. I establish a relationship with someone and then say, oh, and here's a present for you. And since it's all about relationships, really, I don't walk around handing pins to people until I've spoken with them a bit. So it encourages me to develop a relationship, and someone that you have relationship with, that you've conversed with, either by emails or back and forth on Twitter or Facebook, some way you've related to each other, that's the key. Then you have people who are interested in what you're going to write next or what they're going to read next.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. I always take notes when we're doing the show, and the pen I'm using is actually my company pen, which actually says "Get Published" on it, and it has our company logo.
There you go.
So it's funny how
There
you mentioned
go.
that, and I'm writing with it.
Yes, absolutely.
You mentioned reader magnets. So what type of reader magnets do you typically use to build your email list? What things do you give away?
Well, before I began writing novels all the time, I used to write little one-act plays, little one-act comedies that were produced locally. And so some of those I typed up and published them independently and as a little one-act comedy, and I give those away. Sign up for my list and get my one-act play. Your group can perform it or whatever you want to do with it. And those have been very well received.
And
Gives
that was
people a chance to have an idea.
I was going to ask you, so it's like a digital file, right? Like a PDF or a Word file?
Right. It's like an ebook, yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And you want to make sure that you can give it to people in EPUB format or a PDF format or Mobi format. You want to be able to provide whatever format they're using because people are reading across all kinds of devices.
Yeah, you bring a great point, and that's such an innovative strategy. I've heard different things being given away before, like checklists and books, audio books. Those are some things I've given away as well, but I've never actually heard of giving away a one-act play. That is very innovative.
Well, they're very easy to do. They're for small budget, small cast, like maybe with 6 people you could do one. And they're funny. The kind of things you could do at if you have huge office parties at Christmas and you need something for entertainment. It's a great thing to do.
Well, let's talk about your favorite book. So what is your favorite book, and what was the number one thing that you learned from it?
My favorite book, the book that I would say everybody should reread every year, maybe not on Christmas because it's not very Christmassy, but it's called The Elements of Style. I'm sure you have it somewhere on your desk. Strunk and White. Teeny weeny little book. Best thing you can ever read to make your writing better. And the phrase that always affects me when I'm editing, I hear this phrase from Strunk and White in my head all the time, and they say it 3 times in succession, which is also amusing to me because the phrase is omit unnecessary words, omit unnecessary words, omit unnecessary words. I have to think at least 6 of those words right there are unnecessary, and they didn't omit them. But I love it that is the key to editing. You know, if you're using the right word, it should replace 5 or 6 words in that sentence. Your draft should get shorter every time you edit it if it's getting better.
And for a final question, what is your favorite quote and why?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear my favorite what now?
What is your favorite
my
quote?
Favorite book?
No, your favorite quote and why?
Okay. I had a quote that I had taped to my computer monitor for years until I moved and lost it. And I don't know who wrote it. It was anonymous. I found it in the back of some magazine, but it just affected me. To me, it said so much about self-esteem, and writers are always struggling with self-esteem. And it said, still as of old, men by themselves are priced. For 30 pieces, Judas sold himself, not Christ.
And why do you feel that that's your favorite quote?
I like it because it says what I think of myself. The value that I find in myself is more important than what someone else may set on me. Other people may not value me as much as I think they should, but that's really not what matters. What matters is that I think what I'm doing has value.
Yeah, you bring a great point up with that. So it's all about how you feel. It's not about how others feel. It's how you feel. That's what matters at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Well, Iris, I want to thank you for being a guest on the show. What is the best way for people to find you online?
Well, I have the easiest website in the world. It's author Iris Chacon. It's IrisChacon.com. AuthorIrisChacon.com.
Well, Iris, thank you again for being a guest on the show, and I wish you all the best in your author journey ahead.
Thanks so much, Paul, and I wish you more and more success with the podcast.
Thanks again for joining us today. To learn more about how to get your book published with a proven system that works, grab a free copy of my book at getpublishedpodcast.com.